The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the movie Alone in the Dark. Hello, Wolfpack! We're back! Do you want to see us review the beloved, critically acclaimed horror masterpiece Hereditary? Well, too bad, because copyright won't allow us to use clips. So bye!
Wait a minute, Cat, you can't just troll your audience like that and go.
Yes, I can. YouTubers do it all the time.
But you promised to review Hereditary, one of the greatest horror films of the current generation. Yet you don't want to anymore because of some bullcrap copyright crybabies?
House, you don't understand. This is still a very relevant movie. It's too soon for me to take it on the web, since copyright bots will flag it for us showing too much of it. It's not like reviewing a TV episode where anyone can find it online. Movies get more heated strikes from the whiny bots.
But you reviewed Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps without too much trouble. You're not really going to back down because of copyright, are you? If you cower, then you'll let the controlling brats win.
What am I supposed to do? Make a clipless review with zero actual film footage and dress up my silly channel characters as the actors?
Well, why not?
Huh?
Why not? Who cares if you don't have any footage? You're a reviewer. People want to hear what your thoughts on the movie are. It's not just about warning people about the dangers of a bad story or showing clips for free. People just review stuff and only provide visuals to back up their arguments and discussions. But if the copyright police are so insecure that they'll block a video for a couple of seconds of footage, then do things the old-fashioned way.
Oh, okay, let's do it. Hey guys, do you want to act out Hereditary for me? Why would we want to do that? Because if you don't, everyone will forget your characters on our channel and we'll have nothing to review this week, which means no money.
We'll do it, but I want a leading role.
No problem, big guy. However, there's just one problem. We need a creepy little girl character. But where am I going to find somebody like that?
Perhaps I can help.
Blah! Who are you?
Pink's the name. Dr. Pink. But my friends call me Pinky. With a dog. And I am not a nutbag.
Well, obviously. What do you want?
I can help you out with your cute little play. You see, I'm a very talented woman.
I don't know.
Fine, I guess you like to dress up in drag and play a little girl then.
You're hired.
Hooray!
Please don't do that. Well, folks, we better get ready. Hereditary is an elaborately dead serious, long, well-written story, and if we're going to turn it into an amateur student play, it's going to take us quite some time to get it done.
A few moments later.
And we're ready. So without further wasting your time, we're going to check out the so-called horror masterpiece, Hereditary. For those of you who somehow don't know, Hereditary was A24 Films' breakout horror story, showing us the drama of a dysfunctional family dealing with grief, insanity, social issues, inner demons, and of course, real-world demons ruining their lives. Sounds fun, right? Well, as time went on, the hype for this film has slowly died down, but it has earned a place among the top 100 greatest horror films of all time, inspiring new horror movies and the horror genre in general to step up their game and grow back into actual thought-provoking, well-tailored scary stories like how horror flicks used to be. People went nuts over this movie. Either you truly love it and cherish it as a pure masterwork of terror, or you hate it and fail to get sucked into the slow burn storytelling. I've only seen this tale twice, yet I'm on the fence about my feelings for it. But so you can get where I'm coming from, or learn what the film's basic ideas are, we plan to review it to understand what the movie is all about. So let's begin. Was this horror tale a grim emotional tragedy giving you the downward spiral of a lost family? Or is it an overhyped nonsensical mess that wasn't as great as everyone said it was? We'll see. This is my clipless review on the iconic horror game changer, Hereditary. So, our movie opens up in the scariest of all places. In a dollhouse. Alright, we do get a foreboding transition from a bizarre dollhouse into the real-world home of our main characters, the Graham family. Our ensemble cast members consists of the emotionally unstable miniature artist Annie Graham, her husband the psychiatrist/discount agent Scully skeptic Steve, their loser teenage stoner emo kid Peter, what's up? Their
Stupid dog!
and their cliched creepy daughter who loves acting weird, Charlie.
That's me!
The dollhouse transition is actually meant to be a clever way of foreshadowing how the family are nothing more than toys, constantly being observed or played with by our hidden villainous force out there, metaphorically representing how their lives are nothing more than dolls, being used until they break. Okay, that is brilliant. Our happy yet stressed out family is on their way to the funnest of all places, a funeral home to pay respects to their dead grandma. Yeah, it's going to be that kind of story, peeps. The movie sets up a grim atmosphere very early on, and it actually maintains that depressing nature all throughout the whole film to establish a sinister presence and sad feel in the air. It's pretty decent, but of course, the movie also goes out of its way to set up Charlie, the creepy little girl, as a creepy little girl, at every chance it gets. No, really, they go so far out of their way to make you feel that Charlie is unsettling that it makes you question why the parents haven't committed her yet, or at least react to her bizarre attitude. Charlie, you can't sleep in the treehouse during the cold nights.
It's okay.
But you'll catch a cold.
It's okay.
But you could die.
It's okay.
But I don't want you to die.
It's okay.
Well, I'm going to wait by the car.
It's okay.
Yeah, something that really gets in your face is that the movie provides a ton of creepy moments for Charlie that actually get too repetitive for some viewers. Charlie acts creepy all throughout the whole film, yet the parents never really learn anything about who this girl really is for all her life up until a major plot twist. Now at first, she's not that over the top, but when she starts acting like a full-on unstable serial killer, it does make you question how the parents missed all the warning signs. So the Grahams go to a funeral home, celebrating dead grandma's death, encountering some odd weirdos who we'll definitely not see ever again later. People poke at grandma's corpse for some reason, Charlie looks interested in the suspicious necklace she has on, and acts weird during a funeral eulogy. Well, not that weird. She actually strikes me more as a kid who's just bored out of her mind and wants to be somewhere else right now. You know, like nearly all children who can't stand sitting at a funeral while relatives drone on and on about how much they loved the dead person. This is not as scary as the rest of the movie is, since children are really bored at funerals because they have low attention spans. Nice try, A24, but stick to the foreshadowing. However, we do get some exposition on the mother Annie's backstory, and get a pretty straightforward hint that her relationship with dead Grammy was an abusive one, and the two never truly loved one another. I hated my mother. She sucked, and was never there for me in my life. The whore was always private about everything, and never allowed me to know her on a personal level. So I only came here to seek closure, but failed. She was just so private all her life, and did private rituals and the like. Why did she and her family ever come to the funeral? Annie does reveal that her mother was an abusive jerk who traumatized her and is haunted by several disturbing images of the dead grandma watching her from beyond the grave. Or not. But still, why come if none of the family even liked her at all? The only person in the family who did like or know dead grandma at all was Charlie, and even she doesn't seem to care since she's dull at the funeral ceremony.
Can I have some candy? This is boring!
My mother was not always there in our lives, but she shared a close, special relationship with my young girl Charlie. They were so close that they even shared secrets with one another. And I'll give some credit, since this scene does establish some character traits right at the start for both Annie and Charlie, but my opinions on the other characters took a good hour to morph, since now we enter the slow burn stage. Yeah, this movie does take its sweet, sweet time getting to some more insanity, but to its credit, they do plant a lot of clever foreshadowing seeds, leading to much bigger stuff growing later. Like when the Grahams get back home, the father gets a phone call informing him of some pretty bad news. Yeah, anyone who's seen horror films before can quickly guess what he's talking about, since they mention desecration a lot. To make things short, it's implied that somebody violated dead grandma's tomb and did something with the body. We don't know who or what yet, but it does show us that something bigger than our main characters is at work here.
Hello? What's that you say? It was desecrated. You don't know who did it. You'll look into it. Goodbye. Dial tone. If I'd like to make a call, hang up and dial again.
Though, much to my delight, we do get a pretty ominous scene where the mother sees the ghost of her dead, abusive mommy. But when she turns on the lights, nothing was there at all.
You know what would have been scarier than nothing? What? Anything!
This is a pretty nice scare, since it plays up the idea that supernatural stuff may or may not be going on around here, adding a deeper layer to the mind screw horror. However, that does not justify some issues I have with the characters. I know a ton of people really cherish and idolize this film, but I have to say it. The characters in this are all the most stock, overused horror movie characters ever. Yeah, I said it. All the characters in this movie are stock archetypes we've all seen in many horror stories before. Annie is the character with a dark and troubled past who desperately tries to warn everyone all about the creepy ghosts and demons. But of course, no one believes her. The father is your typical useless parent who is totally blind to all the demonic ghosts haunting the family and refuses to believe that the horrors are real until it's far too late. The teenage son Peter is just the idiot stoner who screws up a lot. Charlie is your average scary little child who does weird stuff for the sake of being weird. The stupid dog is of course the only character who can sense the ghosts being around because apparently dogs can detect evil or something. Dead grandma was an abusive parent who was simply evil, and everyone else in this is either some random idiot who takes no notice of the supernatural stuff, or is an evil goon acting ominous. It's all been done before, so what makes it so special when Hereditary does all these archetypes? Well, to the movie's talents, the story does provide them with story arcs, and takes them further than most horror movies do. In the predictable, painfully below average horror fest, they'd all just be bodies added to the kill count, and were expected to be scared or care if they die or not. Hereditary does actually do character studies with all of them, and humanizes the protagonists. An interesting idea, but again, the slow burn story style both benefits and harms the characters. We do get deeply insightful looks into the warped minds of Annie and Charlie for a good half hour, but then we also get some stupid teen drama scenes with Peter, and a couple of boring scenes with the father that aren't as interesting, since they're just too mundane. How was the ceremony, dear?
Meh, could have used more cake.
I know the movie expects us to get attached to these people, but most of these daily life routine scenes don't give too much insight into who they are or build up to the craziness later. But again, the film seems to be aware of that too, and the writer does sprinkle in a few creepy moments so they don't lose the suspense. For example, we get some unnerving scenes, like Annie finding her mother's abandoned bedroom had an unseen visitor in it. The infamous Charlie dissecting a dead bird and eating it scene. And many moments where the family is being watched by some ominous weirdos from afar.
Oh boy, I love hacking up dead birds. No real reason. I'm just kind of sick. Hey, who's that? Huh, that's odd. Guess I'll tell nobody about this and move on.
We soon get a scene of Annie attending a self-help group meeting where the troubled souls support each other by getting over family traumas and weeding out the root of their dark inner demons. Ha! Weeding out. Thank you for that. It is a really nice organic way to drop exposition and backstory without making it feel too forced, so I do give credit that this film never once felt forced at revealing the important details and plot points for the audience. It's real clever. However, as the family goes about their daily lives, we also get this weird character tick where Charlie constantly clucks her mouth every frickin' second of every scene she's in. She apparently makes this dumb chicken noise, so we'll remember that she's creepy. But after the internet memes exploded it overnight, I got irritated instead of frightened. I absolutely hated this because I remember so many people at my school and online would never shut up and do this clicking sound, which was not scary because it was annoying at this point due to the overuse of the nightmare sound. Thank you, internet, for soiling it like the 7 Days quote. Yeah, this clicking noise was so popular that it was run into the ground with how everybody did it, and it lost all fear impact on me. Thank you, fanboys and fangirls. You made the stupid clicking noise my least favorite part of the film. One thing that also didn't help is that this girl's dumb clicking noise reminds me of that stupid scene from Shrek 2, where Donkey annoys Shrek and Fiona. Remember that, anyone? Charlie's death noise reminded me of Donkey from Shrek 2. So, idiot stoner Peter gets invited to a rave party, where naturally, the world's greatest mother here demands that he take his unstable, awkward kid sister to a wild beer party to meet new people. Oh good, I just love it when the plot is kickstarted by idiots making stupid decisions. While a ton of horror stories these days always have idiot decision-making, Hereditary does sort of save itself by having consequences for the moronic moves our main characters make. So I suppose I can overlook it, since the film does express the reality of a stupid decision that people can make. What I can't overlook, though, is how this stupid action will result in a big part in the villain's plan succeeding later. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge soon enough. So the mother orders Peter to take her sickly little daughter to an alcohol party, where, you guessed it, Peter screws up instantly and abandons his kid sister at a rave dance to go get high with his friends. Alright, I'm going to go huff one out with the boys. You just wander around this place with drunk, horny idiots who might take advantage of you. KK?
Okay, bye. I'm going to have me a big slice of cake.
Eventually. Yeah, and like, what is a hose? Hose. Hose. Hose.
As you'd all expect, horrible consequences arise. It turns out that Charlie is allergic to the cake and is dying, forcing her high-as-hell idiot brother to drag her all the way to the hospital instead of, oh, I don't know, using a phone at the house to call a paramedic there now. Hose. How we doing, sis?
Can't breathe! I need air!
Oh, shiz! It's okay, We're going to get you to the hospital, and it'll be alright. I'm going to take good care of you, sis. Hey, Cat, how am I driving a car if I'm too short to reach the brakes and see? Just stick to the script, buddy.
Need oxygen!
Oh no, I need to make a sharp turn. You doing good back there, sis? Sis?
It's okay, I'm alive. I'm just a really good actress. I can remove my own head super easily, like my hero Big Yellow.
Wow, that's pretty decent work.
Thanks. Can I have your autograph?
Sure, you got $5?
No, I'm going to enjoy killing you later.
What?
Nothing. I'm dead. Super serial drama time.
Indeed. So yeah, idiot stoner Peter accidentally got his kid sister killed, and he has a really heavy emotional psychotic breakdown. Peter mentally checks out, drives all the way back home with his sister's headless corpse in the back seat, which somehow attracts no attention to him, looks dazed out of his mind, and goes to bed ignoring the problem, hoping it's all just a bad dream. Which actually made me ask, is this guy a mentally challenged kid? I mean, no offense, but Peter does not really act entirely like a typical teenage boy would. While I do know that some people would probably have a similar reaction to Peter's breakdown and just close themselves off from the world, the boy starts to regress into a childish mindset the more the movie goes on. The film does state earlier that mental illness runs in Annie's family, so it does make me think that Peter has just as much issues in his mindset as the girls do. with this breakdown being the breaking point letting it flood out. I actually did have a tough time debating whether or not Peter was a mentally challenged teenager, a douchey stoner moron, or just an unstable teen, since much like the movie's mind screw themes, the line gets blurred quite a bit. Yes, this is all a secret message about not doing drugs, folks. Otherwise, people will think you're cray-cray. But the next day, the family finds the headless corpse in the car and aren't too happy about it. So we get a sad montage of the family crying, grieving, begging for death, collapsing in on itself, hosting a funeral for Creepy Girl, and see the severed head of Charlie with bugs on it. Gross. Those don't belong on there. So the family's happy, insane life is now just a depressing, insane life. However, while Annie angsts, she bumps into a creepy old lady who says she can help her with all her problems. Oh, I do miss my innocent dead daughter so much. Now who will handle our bird epidemic? Blah!
Howdy, partner. I'm not a creeper.
Who are you, stranger?
Let's just say I'm a friend who can help a true friend in need. Here's my card. Use it wisely.
Well, that was strange, but I'll see her in a week or two with no questions asked. Luckily, we do get some more grand scary imagery, like Charlie's abandoned treehouse glowing with hellish red colors from the heater the parents installed. The parents being unable to sleep because of how haunting Charlie's death was, and a surprise cameo from Charlie's ghost.
Hey, bro!
Wah! Oh.
I watch him sleep in bed at night. It's not creepy.
Unfortunately, they do follow it up with more mundane Lifetime scenes that go absolutely nowhere and have no meaning compared to everything else. Hey, Dad, I'm home.
Son, did you sign up for those SAT courses yet?
I'll do it tomorrow.
You do it right now, boy.
But, Dad... Eventually, we do get the plot back on track, where Annie eventually goes to the mysterious lady's home, revealing herself to be a gal named Joan, who dabbles in mood lifting, and offers Annie a shoulder to lean on. And it works immediately, since out of nowhere, Annie confesses that she's a sleepwalker who once attempted to burn her family alive while she was in a trance. This is meant to hint at Annie's own insanity underneath her fractured demeanor, but I don't think we ever actually see her sleepwalk in this. She has nightmares where she's sleepwalking, but they're mostly fake-outs that don't actually happen in reality, which makes me feel like there was some wasted potential in this. It's all just chalked up to Annie might be crazy, or she might be a victim of a ghost controlling her. And the fact that she dreamt of killing her family does make the villain's plan a tad confusing if he was the one possessing her in her sleepwalk mode. Though her insane nature does get explored further when the family has the most awkward Thanksgiving dinner ever, where everyone just explodes and unleashes all their inner hatred on one another. A lot of people saw this as a scary scene, but I honestly didn't, since it's much more of an emotional scene due to the focus being on the family falling apart even more and calling each other out for their reactions or role in Charlie's demise. Not to mention that older viewers do see it coming, since the mother and son were just waiting to explode at some point. Though it does feel real and genuinely heartbreaking, so let's have my actors ruin it.
I sure love my family getting along in this time of heart-wrenching sadness. Nothing can possibly ruin this feast.
Hey, Mom, you look like you want to say something.
No, not really.
Enough! You want to say something? Then f***ing say something! Don't swear, you little... It's a bad habit.
Yeah, you tell him, Ma. Nothing will stop swearing but more swearing. I hate you, son. You got your sister killed. It's all your fault.
Go ahead and blame me, but you're just as responsible as I am. She didn't want to go to that party, but you made her anyway. You're just as at fault as me.
Having had enough of all this angst, Annie goes to see her gal pal Joan again, who shows the depressed mother how to host a seance, which she uses to talk to the dead. Yeah, long story short, Joan joined a cult and dabbles in Satanism, but does prove to Annie that ghosts are real, giving our protagonist a small hope that she can speak to her dead daughter too for some closure. But when she gets home, she sleeps it off before seeing a bunch of ants eating her son.
Yes! Yes! Consume the human child!
That's my line!
Oh, no, you didn't, girlfriend!
Get back in the scene, you two.
Okay.
But it was all just a dream, and her son is still the same insignificant insect he's always been. But then, Annie spontaneously tells him that she never loved him. Why did I ever have you, son?
I thought you loved me, Mother.
Nope, I tried to abort you when you were still inside of me.
Why?
I never wanted children, but your grandmother forced me to. I wanted to get rid of you at first, but I grew to love you.
You lie!
No, I've changed. I do love you now.
Ah! I'm burning alive! Ah!
But it was all just another dream. Oh my gosh, this quote-unquote revolutionary horror masterpiece seriously did the dream within a dream cliché? The double fake-out dream cliché? Why? What's the point? The funny thing is that neither of these double fake-out dreams play a role in the story later. I suppose the ants devouring Peter could symbolize when Charlie's skull was eaten by bugs on the road, but the one where she tells her son that she tried to have him aborted doesn't have as much impact later since they interact even less as the tale goes on. But hey, I guess these dreams are meant to fool the crowd to keep us in the dark, like the main characters are. But after having this grisly nightmare about death, what is Annie going to do now? Wake up her whole family and host a midnight seance, of course. Yeah, for realsies, the mother wakes up her whole family in the middle of the night to host a seance and speak with Charlie's ghost. And they all just go along with it. The father does ask some genuinely good questions about how she knows all this, which does lead into a fantastic, horrifying, scary moment when they do get into the actual seance. So it definitely has higher points above the Haunting Hours attempt at this.
Why are we up at 2 a.m. again?
We're hosting a seance to speak with Charlie's ghost. That'll prove I'm not crazy. Now put your hands on the magic glass and believe.
That's crazy talk.
No, it's not. We're going to talk to the dead.
Talk to the dead? That's crazy talk.
No, it's not. Our daughter is here in this house, and we'll use this satanic ritual to see her again once more. See our dead kid? That's crazy talk.
I'll do it.
Okay, I'm in.
Wow, that was easy. Alright, let's do this. Charlie, are you there?
Hi, Mommy.
Oh my gosh, what's happening?
Mommy, where's Big Brother Peter? I want to see him.
Oh no, I didn't know talking to dead people would mean that we're going to talk with dead people. Dad, do something.
I don't know what's going on. Where's Mommy, Peter?
Ow, what did you do that for?
I told you this was a bad idea.
Okay. While the seance is a genuinely terrifying moment, it is a tad over the top and goofy. Not helping matters is Peter's reaction to it. Yeah, something that I really didn't like in this were all of Peter's crying reactions. The guy playing Peter is terrible at bursting out in sadness and sobbing all over the place. I actually bursted out laughing the first time I saw this, because it was easily the worst performance in the whole film. It's so weird. This kid delivers such a powerhouse performance earlier with his depressing mental breakdown after his sister dies, but then we get this. Suffice to say, it was painful. I mean, what am I supposed to feel? Why is it that he bottles up all his emotions during that driving home scene during the death of his sister, but when he discovers that ghosts are real, he blubbers like a sensitive kindergartner? I would actually put this failure up there next to Andrew Lincoln's infamous botched crying scenes. That was his reaction to his wife's death, folks. Some actors just fail to pull off good sobbing moments. So after this scene, we get more moments where Peter and Annie get haunted by Charlie's ghost and suspicious creepers. Who's there?
Hey, bro, check this out.
Ah! Ah! I'm okay, just back in school. Upon finally realizing that Charlie's ghost might be evil, Annie attempts to destroy the last material thing that was precious to her daughter to send her spirit away, which was an art book Charlie once drew creepy pictures in, of course. However, upon burning it, Annie also catches on fire, forcing her to put it out because she learns that her life force is connected to the art book as well. She goes to her satanic bestie Joan for help, but she cannot find her at all, because it turns out that Joan is haunting Peter. Somehow, despite not being dead at all and having no astral projection powers whatsoever. Makes sense? Peter! You need to die! Woo! Get out! Yeah, this was more so confusing rather than scary. Spoiler alert, Joan is not a ghost, yet she somehow can project herself inside of Peter's mind despite not even knowing the kid at all. What? But while at Joan's house, she sees that the design of her welcome mat is the exact same design as the mats her dead mother used to give her family, where after going through some of her dead mother's crap, she learns that Joan was best friends with abusive mommy. And they are actually major members of an elite satanic cult worshipping the devil and his minions. Not only that, but dead grandma was apparently the queen Satanist and has dedicated her entire life to summoning the devil's generals upon the earth to start the apocalypse, using her own family as physical vessels for the demons to control in the human world. And in exchange, she'd get rewarded with earthly riches and high ranking among the army of hell for assisting them in their goal to, you guessed it, taking over the world.
Of course.
Yep, this is the true motivation of our main villains. It's not about a dysfunctional family being haunted by guilt or grief, but really, Satanists attempting to gaslight the family and indoctrinate them into Lord Satan's cause, because dear old Granny made a deal with the devil to sacrifice her own offspring for Satan's minions to have bus tickets to the human world. Why haven't they fully completed this plan yet, you ask? Well, the main demon mastermind being summoned last, Paimon, is a sexist who doesn't like the idea of being in a girl's body, so he demands that his cult get him a boy body. Yes, really. Sadly, Grandma was unable to get the chance to reward him with that male vessel until hatching an overly complicated Batman gambit to give Paimon Peter's body to help him get over his insecurity. So basically, the family has been going insane, not just because of personal problems, but also by a satanic Illuminati cult gaslighting them into doing actions that will benefit their demon lord. Not a bad twist, but sadly, this was a point where the film sort of divided a few casual viewers. You see, we go from a family of tragic individuals with severe mental illnesses and relationship problems, going through a really planned out mind screw plot, into just saying, the Illuminati did it. It strangely feels like a whole different movie from this point on. I don't mean to crap all over everyone's love for this film, but it kind of disappointed me a little that the "is any of this real, or is it all a hallucination from insanity" plot was dropped to reveal that Silent Hill cultists did half of it. It's just weak to throw out the whole mind versus matter theme to say it was all magic. Yet in the film's defense, I will agree that after the big reveal, the creepy weirdness really bounces off the walls. Yep, the magic forces of Satan actually up the intensity later on, since now that the family is realizing something's odd about all this, the cult and Paimon make their moves to speed the game up. Naturally, I agree with YMS's argument about how much of a stretch it was for this cult's gamble plan to completely succeed without error, since it's a tad hard to believe that the cult planned everything out perfectly. Yeah, they plotted everything out. Charlie's death, Peter's pot addiction, the dog vanishing, the grandma's untimely death, all of it was written out for the Satanists and went off without a hitch. Now, the movie is going for a "their whole life was all a lie" twist, but I actually think it would have been better if the accident was just that, an accident, and the cult took advantage of it. I don't think it takes away from the horror if that was the case, but whatever. I'm not the magic Illuminati. Annie reads the satanic textbooks to learn more about Paimon, discovering that the Satan boss's soul was actually kept in her creepy daughter Charlie all along. However, the cult planned to transfer his soul into her son Peter once she died. The Satanist dark magician Illuminati actually planned everything out right from the start and set up Charlie's death and was gaslighting the whole family into playing into Paimon's ritual, all while tricking them into thinking it was simply a coincidence. As further proof of this conspiracy, Annie soon finds her dead abusive mother's corpse in the attic, surrounded by candles and religious symbols, pretty much acting as a gate key for Paimon to haunt the Grams. Wait a second, dead Grandma was up there decaying the whole time? How the hell did none of the family smell the sick stench of death? Dead bodies smell bad. They would have found her earlier if she's been melting up there for a couple of weeks on top of their dining room. Or does Paimon believe in air freshener? Speaking of smelly death, we cut back to Peter, who starts getting even more hauntings from the ghosts until he reaches his breaking point.
Hey, bro!
What do you want with me?
Kill yourself!
Okay. Don't worry, he's fine. But his face is totally broken now. Papa Graham picks up his son at school, and in another truly good emotional scene, the father, who's been the only sane man of the family and desperately trying to hold everyone together, finally breaks down and cries, letting out all his bottled pain in one swoop. It's really depressing and well done. As great as the mother is in the movie, I feel like the father deserves some high praise too. Oh, but don't fear, we get more over-the-top insanity when Annie tries convincing Steve that the joint is haunted and Satanists are using them. But of course, he doesn't believe her. At least at first. Steve, we're being watched by Satanists. You've gotta believe me. They even put my mother's dead body up in the attic to summon this Paimon demon.
A corpse in the attic? That's crazy talk.
I'll check it out just to shut you up, though. Oh, those classic dead body scares. Despite seeing the corpse and ritual circle, Steve still refuses to believe a magic cult is behind all this, and in a pretty realistic moment, actually theorizes that Annie might be the true culprit doing all this because he thinks she's gone insane and did all this subconsciously. He also mentions calling the police finally, but for some reason he listens to his delusional wife. But the film seems to acknowledge this by having Annie showing him solid evidence and pointing out how the cops are useless as she and Steve compare notes on what's happening. Sadly, Steve still refuses to believe it's all magic at work. However, it doesn't take too long to dismiss that claim.
You did this. You dug up your mother's corpse, drove my son mad, and planned all these light shows to make us believe you. I think it's time to call the police.
No, it's the dark magic. I burnt our daughter's journal, and it set me on fire too. If we torched the demonic object, it will kill me, but it'll all be worth it, because it will free us all from the devil.
Burning the journal? That's crazy talk.
No, let me do it.
Ah! Burning alive!
Fatality.
Yep, somehow Paimon uses his magic to burn Gabriel Byrne to death.
Irony!
And I think Paimon possesses the mother now, even though he was in Charlie's body last, and his original plan was coming for Petey.
Great continuity.
But hey, I'm not an expert on all this devil magic biz. A couple of hours later, Peter awakens, where we get some truly terrifying scenes of his demon/zombie mom stalking him and hiding within the shadows. It's actually the part where I did feel truly scared. I honestly didn't find a ton of the film that horrifying up until the demon mom stalks her own mentally unstable son in the shadows of the night. It's easily the best scene. There's no jump scares, no overblown music, or even sound effects. Just the son wandering around the house in the dark, while the demon mom is barely visible in the background like Slenderman. It is pretty scary, but things get crazy again soon enough when Peter finds some clues, such as his dad's burnt corpse. Dad, you've been smoking again. But then, it happens. Who's there? I've got no weapons or way of fighting back, but I'm calling you out. Gasp!
Oh, thank you!
Ah! Hey, son. Ah! So, Dark Annie chases her son all around the house, Scooby-Doo style. She bashes her skull on the walls, crawls around like the Grudge. We spot some naked rare hunters smiling like pedophiles. Peter hides up in the attic instead of rushing for the front door. And Annie somehow teleports in the shrine attic to cut off her own head with piano wire.
Ew!
Won't lie, it actually took me quite some time to see that she was slicing her own head off. I could not see what she was doing since it was so darkly lit. While the darkness does help the movie, it was also a tad hard to see such an important moment in the climax, where hundreds of naked demons and Satanists are popping out all over the place. I'm not one for gore, but some bright red blood could have made it better. Also, Annie's decapitation is done in the exact same fashion as Charlie's death earlier, to complete the ritual. So yeah, Annie kills herself by personal beheading, but when more naked weirdos come out to cheer her on, Peter decides that enough is enough. Oh man, I'm so out of here! No, amazingly it doesn't end there. I guess they realized how stupid this was done on Smiley, so Hereditary showed them up. It's actually kept kind of vague if Peter died from the fall or not, because we see him getting back up without a scratch on him, but it's possible he was healed when this shiny Navi ghost enters him. But the newly resurrected Peter sees his mom floating up to the haunted treehouse.
Oh, yeah. Safe flow. Safe flow.
Huh, that's surely an uninviting omen. Better go check it out. So Peter follows his headless ghost mom up to the treehouse, where he sees his sister's severed head mounted on a statue, and the headless corpses of his dead grandma and Annie, before it's revealed that this was all a surprise party, where the cult crowns Peter their new demon lord, because our twist ending reveals that he has now become fully transformed into Paimon.
Howdy, Demon Lord Paimon. Our plan was a great success. The transformation ritual has passed you on from Charlie to Peter, giving you the male body you always wanted. Your kinfolk are all dead, and you can go to bed whenever you want now. Hail Satan!
And believe it or not, that's how it ends. The Satanists win, the Grams are all dead thanks to Grandma, offering their souls for Paimon, and the 8th Demon King is in Peter now, where he will now exact his plan to take over the world.
Of course.
It turns out that the demon soul was the true hereditary element this whole time, and now a generation of blood, death, and destruction shall arise. Roll credits. Okay, those weren't the actual credits, but trust me, the movie goes for the most opposite soundtrack ever to conclude all the horror. Usually some horror movies pick up a contrasting soundtrack to close out the horrific story to make the audience feel uncomfortable by adding an uneasiness to the tone. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. Since I have seen this type of soundtrack dissonance before on other horror tales, I will say it's okay, but not on par with Halloween or Bates Motel. But that was the end to the revolutionary horror game changer, Hereditary. How was it? It's alright. Yeah, it's alright. My brother Wolf never cared for it and had no interest in jumping on board the bandwagon, and neither did I at first. But after watching it, I will agree that Hereditary is an alright horror movie. It has loads of clever writing, deep characters, epic scary moments, genuine emotions, intimidating villains, bloody masterful visuals, good music, decent demon research, and is a real specialist at foreshadowing and subtlety. It is a well-crafted horror movie. So why don't I hype it up like everyone else does? Because I don't view it as the turning point of horror writing like everyone else cherishes it as. Hereditary is not perfect. It does use cliches and predictable character types like a ton of horror movies have done for in the past 50 years. But it has something that most modern horror stories lack: effort and care. Hereditary does the same thing I've seen R.L. Stine, Rod Serling, David Lynch, and Alfred Hitchcock do. It takes a ton of horror cliches we've seen before and puts an original spin on them. This is something that most awful horror films today refuse to do or fail to do, making something more than the one-dimensional cliches that plague lazy writing and generate deeper, layered storylines out of them. Horror has been seen as a dying genre for a long time, because, let's face it, most horror films these days are lazy, uninspiring cash grabs that rip off better, more thought-out horror tales people loved without any care or effort put in to make them stand out. Hereditary does a similar process I've seen on The Haunting Hour and Tales from the Crypt. It took predictable stories and added upgrades to them so the audience can feel invested and entertained. They wrote the characters as people with issues beyond their one-note archetype, showed concern by making sure the mind-screw moments were complex, and of course, avoids the predictability of the concepts by tossing out multiple curveballs our way. Hereditary was a success and praised as a Masterpiece Platinum trophy because it reminded us that horror stories can be good if there was effort and love built into it. However, it's not a purely original divine hope bringer for deeper horror. It's a reminder that horror stories can be good again. That's how I see it. Hereditary is a wake-up call, telling us that horror stories can be good again. Horror stories used to be fantastic, but somewhere down the line, after all the piss-poor sequels, the spin-offs, the cash-in trains, the god-awful reboots, and the lazy rip-offs that do nothing new, this movie came along, was made by people who truly cared and respected their audience's intelligence, and it proved to be a massive success. People forgot that horror stories could be something more than just a crazy guy killing people, or the ghosts haunt the place, or a lame predictable Scooby-Doo mystery with BS explanations that make no sense. Hereditary was a good horror movie because the people who worked on it gave a crap. Horror stories can be great if the studio working on the project care and give hard work and effort. That's why we all love Hereditary. The world praised it because it reminded us all that horror stories can be good again, that horror can be deep, that it's okay to get invested in the characters, and that the villains can have creepy moments without jump scaring us. Hereditary took concepts that I have seen from many other horror tales before, but did something new with them to make the story creepy and original again. I've talked with my friend Blacksmithorange about this movie since I reviewed this as his birthday request. By the way, happy birthday, Blacksmithorange! However, he and I both pointed out that it did things very similar to The Haunting Hour. The entire family having their lives symbolized by toy dolls was something done on Toy Train. The cult controlling the parents' way of thinking was done by Checking Out. The house being haunted by an abusive parent was done by The Hole. The unsettling night-to-day transitions and shivering silence were all done by Scarecrow. And most important of all, the grandma really being a selfish monster who screwed over her entire family by trading their souls to a demon was also something done as the twist to Lots of Luck. See what I mean? All the original horror ideas were also done on R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour and the like. My point is, good horror storytelling never left us. It's always been here. It's just been fading away slowly because big budget horror movies never cared enough to make them fantastic again. I have literally been talking about good horror stories around the same time this movie was premiering on the big screen. Good horror has always been here, but it was never as mainstream as it used to be until it was in a movie form again. Hereditary is a return to form, reminding the world that yes, good horror is still around us, and it needs to be strong again. Twilight Zone, you've always had the brains when it came to good quality writing, even slightly above Hereditary's. Haunting Hour, you've had a good heart all along. There's a reason why we all loved you so much, since you poured your soul into all your great work. And Tales from the Crypt, you've always had the courage, since you really pushed the boundaries of demented thinking, R-rated gore, and adult themes that affected us all. And Nightmare Room, please get rebooted for television. We miss you. To wrap up, good horror never left us. Hereditary is remarkable not just for being a good story, but showing us that outstanding horror still exists and giving studios the kick in the butt they need to stop rehashing lazy writing into horrendous horror movies, but give people the deep, amusing, thought-provoking horror we all want to see once more. While we all can enjoy a good Halloween movie, horror does have the potential to be something more, and to many viewers, it already is. I'm sorry I don't see it as this perfect holy grail of horror, fanboys and fangirls, but if you do, that's fine. I appreciate this film for different reasons. Hereditary is a smart horror movie that does have a million fantastic elements that make it great, but to me, it's just The Haunting Hour grown up and rated R. That's not a derogatory statement, it's actually my highest praise since I love The Haunting Hour, and all my subs understand that. I simply like the movie just fine, but not to the same extent as Psycho, A Nightmare on Elm Street, or The Exorcist. Bottom line, this movie is great, and I'd say check it out. So I'm giving this film a gold skull. Sadly, not my perfect score, because I personally hated Charlie's clucking noise, thanks to the internet memeing this sound to death. I'm sorry, I know everyone loved that scary noise, but the internet ruined it for me. And as I said before, Peter's emotional scenes halfway in the movie later got too ridiculous for my taste. I think CinemaSins said it best.
All the performances are very good in this movie, even great at times, but this cry moment is the worst.
You said it, Jeremy. My opinion is a bit more laid back, but I will confirm that Hereditary is a nicely constructed horror story that's not perfect, but hey, no movie is. This film is just a fine example of how terrifying scary movies are still with us. This film is just a fine example of how terrifying scary movies are still with us, lurking within the dark shadows of our imaginations. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I hope you all don't do drugs. Because if you do, you'll accidentally kill your family, and a satanic cult will sacrifice you. Thanks for watching! Good job, guys. You were all outstanding. Even you, new girl.
Thanks! This was fun! If you ever want to talk again, here's my card.
Cool. Wait a minute. This is a Queen of Hearts. Why...
That was one silly kitty.
I'll say. Let's hope we never see her again. Well, Wolfpack, if there's anything that Hereditary has taught us, it's to close out a depressing story of heartbreak, broken families, mental trauma, and Satanism on an uplifting song.
You